My neighbor let his dog poop on my lawn every day for 6 months. I asked nicely. Then I begged. One morning I woke up to 18 trash bags of his yard waste dumped on my porch and a note. Now we're even. I called the police. What he did after that. I live in a small town outside Springfield, Missouri. Quiet street. Retired folks, families, a couple of younger couples starting out. I bought my house 9 years ago. It's nothing special. 2-bedroom, decent-sized yard, old oak tree in front. I keep it clean. I mow once a week, trim the hedges, put out mulch in the spring. It's the one thing in my life I feel proud of. That little yard. My neighbor Doug moved in next door last year. He's about mid-40s, lives alone. Works nights, I think. Drives a beat-up red pickup. First few months, we were polite. Just nods, the occasional "how's it going?" I didn't think much of him either way. But then came Duke, his dog. Big brindle pit bull. Not aggressive, just free. Doug didn't believe in fences. Or leashes. Or rules, apparently. First time I saw Duke squat on my lawn, I figured it was a one-time thing. I grabbed a bag, cleaned it up, no big deal. But then it happened again the next day. And the day after that. And every day after that. At first, I thought Doug just didn't notice. So one morning, I caught him outside and said, "Hey man, Duke's been doing his business in my yard a lot. Any way you can keep him over on your side?" He nodded like it was no big deal. Yeah, I'll handle it. But he didn't. So I waited another week. Still, poop. Multiple piles some mornings. It started to smell. Started killing patches of grass. I left a polite note in his mailbox. Nothing rude. Just said, "Please clean up after Duke. My yard is getting wrecked." No response. Not even a text. 2 weeks later, I left a second note. I even offered to pay half if he wanted to get one of those invisible fences. I was trying to be nice. Still nothing. By month 4, I was scooping piles of crap every morning before work. Every morning. I took pictures. I timestamped them. I made a log on my phone. I wasn't trying to be petty. I was trying to stay sane. Month 5, I finally said screw it and called the non-emergency police line. Officer Miller came out. He was friendly. Said he couldn't do much without catching it in the act, but he'd have a word with Doug. I thought maybe that would do it. Doug didn't take it well. The next time I saw him, he didn't wave. Just stared at me like I'd kicked his dog. Then, a week later, it happened. I walked out one Saturday morning and nearly tripped over a mountain of black garbage bags. 18 total. I counted. Full of grass clippings, sticks, leaves, all of it clearly from Doug's yard. He'd dumped them right on my front porch. There was a note taped to the top bag. Big black letters scrawled in Sharpie. Now we're even. I lost it. I called the cops again. This time, Officer Miller came back out. He looked tired. He helped me move the bags into his cruiser. Said he'd file a report. Told me I could look into a restraining order if things kept going like this. I didn't want a war. I just wanted the poop to stop. Next day, I noticed the small bird statue I kept in the flower bed, cracked clean in half. Looked like someone had kicked it. A week later, one of my solar lights was missing. Then it got creepier. I started hearing footsteps on the porch late at night. I installed a camera, but whoever it was stayed out of frame. One morning, there was a single empty trash bag on my welcome mat. Nothing inside it. Just placed there like a message. I texted Doug. "We need to talk." His reply. "We already did. You didn't listen. Now we're even." That was it. The weirdest part? Duke stopped coming into my yard. No more poop. Just silence. A cold, watching silence. But now, I sleep with the porch light on. Something about this doesn't feel over. I thought things had settled down after that last text. Weeks went by, maybe 3 or 4. No more poop. No more bags. No more broken stuff. But I never relaxed. Not fully. I started checking my security camera every morning just in case. Still nothing. I told myself maybe Doug got bored. Maybe the police visits scared him straight. Maybe, just maybe, it was over. Then one Friday night, Around 2 a.m., my motion light flicked on again. I didn't hear anything at first, but then I saw it, something small and shiny on my porch, just below the door camera. I opened the door slowly, heart pounding. It was a dog collar.
Dirty. Worn. No tags.
Just sitting there like a souvenir. I'd seen it before. It was Duke's. I walked to the edge of the porch and looked toward Doug's house.
Dark. No lights.
No movement. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling and thought about that collar. Why would he leave it? What was the message? The next morning, I called Officer Miller again. I told him everything, the collar, the trash bags, the broken statue. He was quiet for a while. Then he said, "Off the record? You should think about installing more cameras. Front and back. Maybe get a motion alarm. These things don't always show up in court, but they help if something real happens." That word stuck with me. If something real happens. What the hell had the last 6 months been? I took his advice. I installed 3 more cameras. 1 by the back door. 1 facing the side yard. 1 by the garage. I set them to record any movement day or night. For a week, nothing. Then I got an alert at 3:17 a.m. I checked the footage. A person, hood up, face turned, walked along the edge of my fence slow. They didn't cross onto my property. Just walked.
Stared. Turned.
Walked back. 2 nights later, it happened again. Same time. Same walk. Same person. I showed the footage to a friend at work. He's a tech guy, good with detail. "Can't see a face," he said. "But watch the gate. See that limp? That's Doug. That's 100% Doug." Now I had video. Not of damage. Not of trespassing. But of him circling my house in the middle of the night. I printed stills.
Dated them.
Logged everything. Then Duke disappeared. I hadn't seen him in weeks, but one day I noticed no barking. No leash tied to the porch. No sound at all. I asked another neighbor if they'd seen him. "Oh, Doug said he gave him away," she said. "Too much hassle, I guess." Just like that, the dog was gone. And yet, that dirty collar still sat on my shelf, behind my front door, like a reminder. The silence after that was worse than the noise. One morning I came out and found my side gate wide open. I always lock it. Always. But there it was, hanging open like someone had walked right in. I checked all the locks. Checked the windows. Checked the camera. Nothing on the video. But something was wrong. I could feel it. That afternoon, I sat in my living room, staring out the window, and saw Doug sitting in a lawn chair. Not in his yard. In mine. Just sitting. I opened the door and walked out slow. "You lost or something?" I asked. He looked up, dead calm. "Just getting some sun." "In my yard?" He smiled. "You called the cops on me. We're past asking now." I stood there for a second, stunned. "You need to leave," I said.
Now.
He stood. Didn't say a word. Just walked back across the fence line like he owned the place. I filed for a restraining order that week. The restraining order took 3 weeks to process. In the meantime, Doug acted like nothing had happened. He mowed his lawn, waved to the mailman, even brought out the trash while nodding at me like we were good neighbors. But every time I saw him, I got that crawling feeling up my neck. Like I was being dared to say something. Like he wanted me to crack. And then I noticed something weird, tiny, almost stupid. My trash cans kept getting turned slightly to the right. Always the same angle, like someone was coming by and twisting them just a few degrees each night. It sounds insane, I know. But I tested it. Marked the position of the wheels in chalk before bed. Next morning, different spot. Like clockwork. One night, I waited. Sat on the couch, lights off, just watching from the window. At 2:42 a.m., someone walked by.
Didn't take anything.
Didn't break anything. Just reached over the fence, touched the trash can, and kept walking. He wasn't even being sneaky anymore. I started sleeping in short bursts. An hour here. Half an hour there. The stress was getting to me. I'd start to hear things. Footsteps that weren't there. Leaves rustling when there was no wind. Then one night, I came home from work to find something taped to my front door. It was a photo. A printed photo of me, sitting on my own porch, drink in hand, reading a book. Taken from across the street. There was no note. No writing. Just the photo. I ran inside, locked the door, and checked the cameras. Somehow nothing. All 4 cameras were still recording, but none of them caught anyone near the door in the last 12 hours. That made me wonder, how long had he been watching me before I put up the cameras? How many pictures did he have? I showed the photo to Officer Miller again. He looked worried this time. More serious than before.
This is escalating, he said.
Keep the doors locked. If you feel unsafe, leave the house. Stay with someone. You got family nearby. I nodded, but I didn't move out. I didn't want to give Doug that win. The restraining order finally went through. I had to go to court, tell the whole story under oath. Doug didn't say a word the whole time. Just sat there, arms crossed, staring at me like I was a joke. The judge approved it. Doug had to stay 50 feet away from my property. No contact. No trespassing. No harassment. I thought maybe that would be the end. For a week it was. But then I found the dead squirrel. It was placed in my mailbox. No blood. Just stiff, like it had been frozen, and laid there neatly. There was no note.
No markings.
Just the body, curled up like it was sleeping. That's when I realized this wasn't about the dog anymore. It was never about the dog. It was about control. Doug didn't want to hurt me, not physically. He wanted me to unravel. And I was starting to. I took the dead squirrel to the police station in a plastic grocery bag. It felt stupid walking in with it, but I didn't know what else to do. Officer Miller looked at it and just shook his head. This isn't normal.
He's testing you.
Seeing how far he can go before you snap. I asked if they could do anything more. He said, "We'll make a report, but unless we catch him placing it or he violates the order clearly, it's hard to act." That's when I started documenting everything. Every little thing that fell off. Noises at night, trash moved, garden hose uncoiled and dragged across the lawn, a muddy boot print on the porch that didn't match my shoes. I logged it all. I set motion alerts on my phone to high sensitivity, even if it meant dozens of false alarms. Still, the stuff kept happening. And then came the letter. No return address. Just folded white paper in my mailbox. Inside was a typed note. No signature. It said, "Imagine losing everything over dog shit." That sentence sat in my hands like a stone. Cold. Heavy. He was right. I was losing sleep. Losing focus. Losing my peace. And all of it had started with a dog taking a dump on my lawn. But it wasn't about that anymore. That same night, I heard loud banging from the back of the house. I grabbed a flashlight and ran out, nothing there. But the side gate had been opened again, and one of the new cameras had been twisted upward, pointing at the sky. I checked the footage later. It went out at 3:21 a.m. Someone had come up from the side yard and knocked it out of position. No face. No clear shot. Just a shadowed figure. No way to prove it was Doug, but I didn't need proof to know. I ordered more cameras. Put one in my attic window, one inside the garage, and one behind the shrubs facing the side gate. 2 nights later, one of the front porch lights blew out. I replaced it. The next night, it blew out again. I replaced it with an LED floodlight. One of those bright white ones that hurts your eyes to look at. Next morning, my car windshield had a crack. Not a big one.
Not shattered.
Just a thin line, right across eye level. I didn't bother calling the cops. I just added it to the log. Then I got the call. It was my boss.
"We need to talk," he said.
"Someone sent an anonymous email to HR claiming you were being investigated for stalking a neighbor." I almost laughed.
"What?"
"Who the hell?" He cut me off. "We're not saying it's true. We just need to follow protocol. You'll be on paid leave until we sort it out." So now I wasn't just dealing with Doug outside my house. He'd brought it into my job. I spent the rest of the day pacing the living room, fists clenched, trying to figure out my next move. And that's when the doorbell rang. I checked the camera. It was Doug, standing on my porch, holding something in his hands. I didn't open the door. I just stood there behind it, staring at the screen. Doug was holding a shoebox. He didn't knock.
Didn't speak.
Just stood there for maybe 30 seconds, then bent down slowly and placed the box on the mat. He looked straight into the camera, no smile this time. Just a blank, unreadable face. Then he turned and walked back across the lawn like he lived here. I waited 10 minutes before opening the door. The box was taped shut. No name on it. No note. I brought it inside with gloves on. Laid it on the table.
Just looked at it for a while.
Then I opened it. Inside were all the things that had gone missing over the last few months. My solar light. The broken half of my garden statue. My missing hose nozzle. A flash drive. There was also a Ziploc bag with Duke's collar inside. The same one that had already been left on my porch weeks ago. This was a different one. A second collar. That's when it hit me. There had never been one collar left behind. Doug had come onto my porch twice. And somehow, he had things that disappeared after I installed the cameras. He had to be getting in another way. I checked the flash drive on an old laptop, keeping it offline. There were only 2 files. One was a video, black and white, grainy. A silent clip of me, inside my own house, sleeping on the couch. The camera angle was from above. The second file was a text document. Just one sentence. You were never watching me. I was watching you. I backed away from the desk. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I checked every camera feed. Every corner of the house. The attic. The garage. Then I found it. A tiny hole in the ceiling tile above my hallway closet. Inside, tucked behind the insulation, was a small wireless camera. Not mine. Someone had put it there. That was the moment something broke in me, not panic. Not rage. Just this cold, hollow feeling like I'd finally understood something I didn't want to know. This wasn't a neighbor dispute. It wasn't petty. It was targeted. Personal. And I had no idea why. I moved out 2 weeks later. Didn't sell the house, just left. The cameras, the lights, everything stayed. I don't check the doorbell footage anymore. I don't even open the app. People ask why I left and I just say, bad neighbor, and they laugh like they get it. But they don't. Because the truth is, I still don't know what he wanted from me. Or when it really started. Or what he might have taken that I haven't found yet. And sometimes, late at night, I still wonder if he's watching someone else now, or if I was never the only one.